Hands of My Podcast is a proud member of Darkcast Network, presenting the brightest of indie podcasts. Hola, my beautiful humans. This is Jasmine Castillo, and I bring stories and cases from the people of color community, bringing awareness of murdered and missing Indigenous women, girls, two-spirits, the LGBTQ community, Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander, Black Indigenous people of color. These are their stories. So, welcome to Hands Off My Podcast. In this episode, we will be discussing the mysterious disappearance of Bianca Carrasco, a 29-year-old nurse and mother of three. Bianca was last seen on May 1st, 2016, at her home in San Antonio, Texas. Bianca was determined to start fresh and even purchase a new phone that her husband could not access. She was also dating a new man, symbolizing her commitment to moving forward. However, despite her efforts, Bianca disappeared without a trace. Her car was found at their home, and there have been no signs of activity on her new phone or credit card since that fateful day. This is Bianca's story. Today, I had the honor of speaking with Bianca's sister, Jovanna, and her close friend, Rosa. They will share their personal experiences and the tireless efforts they have made to find Bianca. We hope that by discussing her case, we can raise awareness and potentially gather new information that could help solve the mystery surrounding her disappearance. Bianca Carrasco was a remarkable woman who had faced various challenges throughout her life. Despite the difficulties she encountered, Bianca managed to become a dedicated nurse and a loving mother of three children. At just 17 years old, Bianca made the heart-wrenching decision.
We didn't grow up like, it wasn't an easy childhood, Bianca grew up with we grew up with our mother. I think she was in third grade, so that would be what?
Like 9.
8 or 9 years old. Our mother sent her to our biological father, and I ended up following a little bit after, and after that it wasn't a really easy. It's never been easy for us childhood wise. When we got into teenage years, starts to get really hard just trying to cope with everything. She got a little bit rebellious, and I say a little bit, she got rebellious, and she actually has a baby, or she's not a baby anymore, she's a big girl now, but our father made her give a baby up for adoption right when she was turning 17. So there's a lot of stories within that big story, but it's just a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you.
I don't know, Rosa, if you can help, because I've shared a lot with Rosa, I've been really open, and I know Bianca has too. Whenever you come from rough backgrounds, it's not like you don't know where to start. It's
it's just hard to talk about. It's hard for me to talk about it, and it wasn't a situation that I went through, but being her friend and her telling me about everything in her past and opening up about it, especially the topic of the baby that her daughter that she had to give up for adoption, like that was really, really hard for her to talk about, for her to deal with,
up until up until the week before she went missing.
Because I went to go visit her in March, 2 months before she went missing. I was down there for spring break with her, and she was telling me stories about her then, and it because she, of course, now, what did she turn 18 this year, Jovanna?
I think she just
19.
turned 19. Yeah.
19. Yeah, 19. the 1st of July. So, I mean, just her getting older, getting to an age to where she wanted to have that opportunity to reach out, to let her know, like, you know, who she is, how she can contact her. She wanted that relationship. So that was a tough conversation to deal with. You know, it was a hard topic for her, which I felt like had a lot to do with life in general for her.
Yeah, I agree.
Soon after, she entered into marriage with Daniel, a man over 10 years older than her and also her aunt's ex-husband. Together, they had 2 children right away, and later welcomed a third when Bianca turned 25.
Again, why I wanted to have Rosa on this one is that for me, and maybe this will help you in the interview, is that obviously it's been 7 years and she is still, there's no trace, no nothing. And there's a lot of judgment, a lot of stories, speculations, all these things. And for me in the beginning when she went missing, it was really hard because you don't know what to say or what not to say. And you're looking out for, you know, you don't want to hurt people saying things or even hurting her. You want to, you know, I wanted to protect her, but it's gotten to the point where it's like, you know, I don't know what God's will is in this, but what I do know is that she still has a story to tell. There's still a lot of things leading up to her disappearance that if we can share who she was, why she was that way, the beautiful things that she overcome, and the things that she accomplished, that it really could help other people, and really show empathy, you know, show examples of ways to be empathetic, you know.
Bianca completed her education at Odessa College and graduated from the Galen College of Nursing in October of 2015. She had been working as a registered nurse at an oncologist's office. Following her graduation, Bianca made the decision to end her marriage and immediately updated her Facebook profile to reflect this change. How would you describe Bianca's personality?
Hilarious.
Yeah, she's so funny.
Yes, funny, sassy.
Yeah, she was blunt, but like she was also very, I think from my perspective, because I'm the bigger sister, like it's like she would say these things, you know, that she was like blunt, but it was like she was also so enduring and nurturing and sweet all at the same time. Like she was super compassionate, and so she would tell her close people exactly what she was thinking, you know, and then you would be caught off guard with what she was saying. But then she was so loving. She was such a loving person.
My favorite thing that she would always tell me is like, you better pump your brakes. And that's how you knew like she was serious. Like, don't go there no more.
Yeah.
But it was always laughing, you know, especially like with our kids, because our kids were somewhat close in age. So watching them, you know, be together, we'd laugh, we'd, you know, play with the kids. Everybody loved music, dance. So that's what our kids would do, you know, and so it was just fun. Everything about Bianca was fun.
And for us, we just had more history because she was my sister. So, I mean, at any point we could like, which this is why I love Rosa, is that I can talk to her for hours, you know, about life. And it was the same with Bianca, that I could just talk to her for hours. And it was all kinds of different things and deep things. And then when we say she's hilarious, it was like she was like morbidly funny. So we always like make the joke. It was like, it was from her traumatic childhood, but it was comforting, you know? Like, it's just makes it a little bit. And Bianca was, but she made it like so like, Bianca, don't joke like that, please. It was so bad. And I'm telling you, it was so bad that Friday, be prepared what I'm about to say. That Friday before she went missing, she made the joke to her coworkers and said, hey, if I go missing, you know what happened to me. And she probably meant it in a way, but she that's how she joked. Like, she put a smile on her face, or
she was trying to.
She would like cry sometimes, and then she would like laugh, like just trying to, you know, like
grasp the situation that's ahead of her, possibly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I know, like, the joke that I make now is like, I know there's no way, like, all the crying I've done since she's been missing, she would not be okay with at all. Because
definitely.
She, like, I was the big sister, and it was like, if somebody made me cry, no. Like, then she knew something was up. You're not going to make my big sister cry because she's the big sister. And if you made her cry, that means you did something really bad. And I'm not okay with that. You know? Yeah. She was very loyal and very protective over the people that she loved.
That's when I feel like that's when her nursing came in.
Yeah.
Because she was so protective and caring. And I mean, something her, like, I don't even think I went to the doctor having Bianca. Like, I would just call Bianca and tell her. And she was definitely my go-to nurse for everything. Everything, scrapes, anything. Which is why it's kind of hard. I don't know, like, I became a grandma at a very young age. My baby's young. And I told Jovanna, like, I think that's why it was so hard for me dealing with the situation. Like, I literally went through a really bad depression because I felt like the one person that I needed, I didn't have. I couldn't go to her for my questions and because I know she would have made it okay from the get-go, because she would have been like, Rosa, like, stop it. Like, this is happening for a reason. And, you know, she would get real aggressive when she wanted to get through to you. Like, no, like, you're not gonna, you know, like, as much as I could hear her saying it, it still wasn't easy. It was hard. It was hard to deal with. But I mean, I'm so thankful for Jovanna, because I feel like I have a piece of my Bianca still with Jovanna. Like, she talks like Bianca. I feel like her and Bianca sound so much alike, especially when she laughs. Like, they laugh the same.
I'm not going to allow you to do podcasts with me anymore.
Sorry.
Well, I believe Rosa is completely truthful in regards to, you know, having a piece of Bianca. It makes a lot of sense to have that comfort in a situation like that. Thank you for sharing that story, Rosa.
Everything is better in pink.
Everything is better in pink, yeah. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That was her color.
Yeah.
Everything was pink. And then she, like, Rosa, you sent me a text, I forgot to reply, but it was Zane. But we had certain songs that always reminded each other of each other, just like from growing up, or like, it's so silly. It's silly. Remember, what was La Diferencia? That group, La Diferencia. One of their whole albums, like, and we don't speak Spanish. That's the funny part. But growing up, like we always remembered like it together, and so there were certain songs like that, and you know, she was so funny. She was really funny. So.
Mine is What Makes You Beautiful from One Direction. Do you remember that one? That part when it's like, you're insecure, don't know what for, and like the flip the hair, like she'd flip her hair. And that's what we talked about too when I was down there for spring break. She's like, you have to come back in August to go with me to Zayn's concert.
Zayn, yeah.
She loves Zayn from One Direction.
Yeah. We have our own type of country music. We have our own kind of Spanish music. So Tejano music it's Spanish Texas music. It's not just Spanish music. And it's
because norteño is norteño and Tejano is Tejano.
And then country, it's like, it's not regular country, it's Texas country.
Yes.
So like for me and like Bianca, it was like those old school Tejano music that you grew up with around your the family that you heard, you know. Maybe we would make jokes because we didn't understand what they were saying, or the music, like she was funny because she would make like these dance moves just to like
So, she did love to dance.
Yes, I love.
No, but when you put norteño on, she'd be like
the cumbia,
the chicken dance.
The chicken dance.
That's what she said. She'd be like, it sounds like you have to do the chicken dance.
Yeah. Yes.
She loved to dance. She really did.
I'm the same way. I love to dance. I dance to anything.
It's funny.
We'd be in the car, me and Bianca, and we'd be dancing. I'm telling you, especially to the One Direction. So
funny.
That was our jam.
As time went on, Bianca started branching out and making new friends outside of the life with Daniel. The strain in their relationship led to discussions of divorce. On May 1st, 2016, during an afternoon conversation with her sister Jovanna, Bianca expressed her determination to seek legal advice with hopes of gaining custody of her children.
I think about like when she got pregnant in high school, like that was so shocking to me because we were so close. And I had no idea like what she was doing, like skipping school and all that. I had no idea. And then if Bianca was going to do something, whether good or bad, she was going to do it. That's it. There was no like, if you found out about it or whatever, you know, I think she knew her people. She knew who would tell her what. Me and Rosa have talked about this. Like, she was private, and that comes too from our childhood. Like we were made to put on this face that everything is okay, everything's perfect, there's nothing going on, and we learned how to do that very well. And I honestly believe that's why there was a lot, you know, there's things that people don't know, or things that I found out, or like things from the past, like different seasons of her life people don't know. And that's not her fault. Like that's what we were taught, you know?
Definitely. I can definitely say that. She picked and chose what she wanted to share, you know, like
what she was comfortable with sharing.
What she was comfortable is exactly what I was telling Jovanna that other day. Is I felt like, because others know other things that, we didn't know. And then we know things that others don't know. And like I told Jovanna, like, I feel like she picked and chose who she was comfortable in that situation with, not that anybody is better than anybody. It's just where she felt more comfortable at. And I feel like me and Jovanna, Jovanna being her bigger sister, and then me being the person that she knew who I was, I worried. Anything, the kids were sick or she was sick, I was there calling, I was checking. She knew the worry person that I was. So I feel like a bunch of this stuff that I didn't know is for that reason. She wasn't trying to worry me. She knew I had a lot going on in my own life that I know she just didn't want to worry me on certain things. So
and that's another
Jovanna
thing.
says it plays a big part.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. Whenever you come from where we come from, you don't want to burden people with like your issues. It may not be a burden for your friends or family, but it feels that way.
It feels that way, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She had an argument with her husband, Daniel Carrasco, before she left home on foot, leaving their 2 other children behind. This incident took place in the 16,000 block of Walnut Creek Drive. Now, we understand that tensions were high in this relationship, with their family mentioning previous difficulties and attempts to isolate Bianca from them. Bianca went missing just 3 days after posting an image on her Facebook account. It is important to note that it is completely out of character for Bianca to turn off her phone, something she has never done since May 1st at 10:22 p.m., the day she went missing.
I think this is the difference. And I know that I've talked to Rosa about this. It's not the same as losing a loved one.
Right,
it's not the
right.
same.
Exactly.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
You don't have the closure. You don't know. And the most hardest thing to say, knowing my sister, who she is, what she would do or wouldn't do, I don't want her to just show up at my door. Like, I don't want a police officer saying, "We found your sister," because that would have meant for 7 years that she was being held against her will. And I'm not okay with that. Like, I don't even want, like, that makes me sick to my stomach thinking about, because I know my sister didn't just walk away. Right. I know she did. It's a very real thing. It's very different than, there are people that just walk away. Mm-hmm. There are people that are just missing. But for Bianca, something happened to her. People know what happened to her, and they're not speaking up. And I can't, like, for 7 years, I cannot even, that crushes my heart to think about the possibility of even her being alive, because that would mean something very bad has been happening to her for 7 years.
Right.
I think the way I would answer that is not what I would do if she was to come. My thing is what I would have changed the last time I saw her is what I feel like beats me up the most. Like, maybe ask more questions, like, because I knew something was going on, but I didn't know through her. I knew through Joe Daniel, because Joe Daniel and my husband were really good friends. So I knew things were going on because of him. And leading to that is, I would have taken it back and been like, hey, let's talk. What's going on? Can I help in some way? Something like that. Like, I would have hugged her tighter. I would have reminded her that I love her. I know she knew that, but to where she felt like she could come and tell me, like, Rosa, this is going on. This is happening. What do you think I should do? Something. But I feel like that's how I would answer that question. I would have done things differently. We didn't lose her. She's, like, she's missing. We can't find her. We don't have that peace. We don't have that closure. We don't know nothing. So it's different. It's different for us in that situation.
I completely understand both angles, Jovanna, Rosa. Thank you so much, because there's times where, okay, I'm sorry. There's times where you have to, like, I'm sorry. I hold my kids a little tighter. I hold, having that mind thought, the mind process that we are as siblings, as parents. You never know that's their last day you get to see that person. So, it really affects me that you don't expect that to happen to anyone. You don't expect anything, the worst, to happen, or just for them just to disappear without a trace. And when you brought up the thing about people knowing, Jovanna, knowing about her and what had happened to her and her disappearance, that infuriates me even more, to know that somebody knows something and they're not saying anything. And I am so sorry that you're going through this. So
it's just I don't know. It's totally it's unless you're in a situation like that, you'll never understand. Like, never. You'll never understand unless it literally happens to you, because it's easy for everybody to say, oh, well, you lost her, she's gone. Like, no, you can't say that to us, and I feel like that's why Jovanna and I have gotten so close, because her hurt is my hurt. Hers is totally more. And like I tell her, I will never take the fact that you're her sister. I will never try to be better than you. I will never say, like, oh, I miss her more, or oh, I loved her more. No. But I know Jovanna hurts, and the same way I hurt. We can relate to that hurt.
Exactly.
For me, it took, I don't know, Julie set these podcasts up, but it's not easy. It's not easy to talk about, because it does bring up all those things. It does, like, she got to this place for a reason. It's not just like, she didn't, like you said, she didn't survive, so there's more to that story.
Yes.
And it takes a lot for the family to actually speak up about things that I told my mom today. She's in prison, and she's crying, and just, my whole family on both sides may hate me by the time this is all said and done, because nobody wants to talk about these really hard things. But Bianca's not here, and there's many reasons that led up to this.
Right.
She was very young still at the time that she disappeared. So I'm sorry if I come across It took me a lot to get here to actually start speaking up and speaking out. So,
Hear her voice.
Never apologize.
Hear her voice.
Ever, never apologize, Jovanna, because you are doing something that your sister would have done. I think that's a lot of things, that a perspective that a lot of people don't understand is that you are her voice when she is absent. So don't ever apologize for what you do. Don't ever apologize, because you're doing it with strength and you're doing it with courage. You're in a step where a lot of other families haven't even gotten to, and it's been 20 years. It's something that the family knows and they're hush about it, because it's some kind of like unwritten rule that they don't let other people into their lives. We'll deal with our own family issues and not have anyone else be involved in their lost loved one's story. So this is a huge step. Don't ever apologize. But I'm glad that you are here to tell Bianca's story.
The media takes things and then they just go, and then I think the last 2 podcasts that I did, it was more of I just want to find her.
Right.
I just want people to know how it got here. And I pray that someone somewhere has the conviction to hear things out loud and say, I need to say something. That's why I'm doing these podcasts.
Yes, because it's not like, I feel like what I've heard from Jovanna, and I feel like I feel the same way too, is we want people to know Bianca, who Bianca was, the person she was. She wasn't just somebody who married her uncle and went missing, because that's what everything out there is making it sound. And that's what she means by there's a story behind it all. It's not just she married her uncle.
Right. And that was one of the things that I wanted to completely debunk, or have the story to the truthfulness of the story, because I noticed that a lot, that it was always like the centerpiece of conversations, and I completely agree with y'all that that's not what defines the situation. It could be Joe Schmo from Mars, and that should have never happened to her, no matter who was involved in her life. So but I know that you want to get the record straight in regards to what had led up, her story behind it, because I don't like to listen to media. I don't like to feed into all of that, because that's not coming from you. I don't see it as genuine. I see it as a attention seeking, looking for subs, trying to get clout in their whatever.
And initially that one story was released, and everyone focused on that.
Right.
Everybody went with that.
Which it is part of the problem. Like, it's a little piece of the problem, but there was a very short journey there for Bianca. I mean, I'll start off with, because I've said this multiple times in other interviews, is that our mother is in prison, okay? And our father's nowhere involved trying to find her. So that off the top should give you some kind of clue. There's some pretty crazy things going on there, right? But I can give you all these little details and tell you that we're with our dad. It
was rough.
Yeah, it was
had a
rough.
childhood.
Like rough. And she got pregnant at 16. That baby was born July 1st. She was turning 17 July 21st. She was sent away when she got pregnant. When that
She
happened,
didn't give up this baby on her good, like she didn't.
yeah, she didn't
It
want
wasn't.
that.
It wasn't her choice.
We did not have the family support. So she does that, gives the baby up, finishes high school, goes and tries to find our mother, who is at that point already a felon, already in and out, doing things she shouldn't be doing. Within a short amount of time, this family, like our mother's side of the family, we didn't grow up with them. Our dad had kept us away. We didn't. So this uncle, like we didn't look at him like that because we didn't grow up with our family like that. I still don't know my mother's side of the family very well. And then within a year, she gets mixed up with Joe Daniel and gets pregnant with my oldest niece. You're talking a year. So the most vulnerable, darkest, lonely, nobody there. I mean, I followed her to Odessa, but we're only 18 months apart. And she's with this man who is much older than her. And then it just goes on from there. So it's not as simple as everyone makes it out to be.
Right. Exactly.
That she married her uncle.
Thank you for setting that straight, because I want the truthfulness. I don't want this blown up, exaggerated story that a lot of people are going with. And I've dealt with a lot of family members on my podcast that had the same scenario, being blown out of proportion about the stories of their lost loved ones or their
it's to hide all the other skeletons that everybody else has.
Right.
That's what it is. Because exactly. And for me to say that, I'd have to say all these other things. And so there's things that are going to come out. There's things people are going to put 2 and 2 together, and it's not comfortable. Doesn't make the families look good, but she's missing. Like, somebody hurt her. She's gone. Her babies are without her. It doesn't matter. It's time to suck up your pride and get over it.
I feel like people who didn't get to know Bianca missed out. They missed out because
they really did. If you needed something, she heard somebody need something, she was right there. Like she was, whatever, what do I need to do? How can I help you? That's how she was.
Yeah.
And that says a lot, even coming from where, like, that's why I want to share. Like, people wouldn't have been like her. They would have been mean, and she didn't. She tried to change her life and help people regardless of what she went through and how mean people were to her.
That's what I told Jovanna the other day is I feel like that's what made her is because she chose to be different. She chose to take everything she went through and put it into something. Because I feel like nowadays, especially the generation of today, these kids use all their past trauma as excuses to why they don't do this, they don't finish school, they don't, they turn to drugs, they do this, they do that, and that was with Bianca.
Nope.
Like, it made her strong. It made her.
I hope her kids know that, they learn that, because I know she would want them to know the same thing, to know to do the same thing.
We love harder, and there's always a reason why we love harder. It's because we are trying to make up for the lost love that we didn't have in our childhood, or the trauma that we had endured, that we're trying to make it a constructive instead of a destructive pattern in our lives. Overcompensating for the lack of what we had received as a child. So that's so.
And I feel like that's why she was the way she was with her kids. Very protective of her kids. She had to be really, really close for you to be around them, to watch them, to take care. Like, nobody took care of Bianca's kids.
That's why I wasn't buying what was happening towards the end. Wasn't buying it.
Yeah. And that's how come when, I found out through social media. I wasn't on Facebook, but I had actually gotten a message from one of our other friends asking me, reaching out to me, telling me they were sorry that they had heard about Bianca. And I was like, what about Bianca? And she's like, you don't know? And I was like, no. And then she said, she's missing. I said, what do you mean she's missing? Like, I had just talked to Bianca the night before. And that's when I get on Facebook and, when I call Joe Daniel.
A few days prior to her disappearance, Bianca reached out to her sister via text, stating that Daniel had emptied their account and opened a new one without her name on it. This left her with limited financial resources, only having access to a credit card that was close to its limit. Bianca expressed that she refused to be controlled by a man or money. The last conversation Bianca had with her sister, Jovanna, occurred at 2 p.m. on the day she went missing. During this conversation, she discussed plans to consult with a lawyer regarding child custody matters. Initially, Daniel did not want to report Bianca as a missing person because he believed she left willingly. However, due to the insistence of her sister, a report was eventually filed.
So in the very beginning, the last pings for her phone were right there by her house, and we did 2 searches. One with the community gathering, and then Texas Echo Search actually helped us search the area. And they searched the home, they searched the cars, they had dogs. As far as the results, I'm not entirely sure that they came back clear. So yeah, that was the search efforts. Other than that, they haven't given us anywhere else to look. He left that night. San Antonio is 5 hours from Odessa, where he drove. He didn't get back to San Antonio till 8 o'clock Monday night. So, only in the media, they have said that there could be foul play. They believe there's foul play. I was told by a homicide detective that, unfortunately, if we don't find a body, there's nothing we can do. A homicide detective. CPS got involved the very first week, because the kids were left and they were just gung-ho. That's why they removed the children, was that they were convinced something happened, but it's 2 different agencies. I don't know. It's super frustrating. Missing persons in Texas is very sad because there's a lot of missings.
Yes, I've noticed that as I continue to do research about San Antonio. They are very loose in their investigative practices, if there's any.
One of the major things is their missing persons unit. They're not police officers, they're agents. So they only have so much authority in the first place. Other counties, you may have police officers and missing persons, but as far as San Antonio goes, they're not police officers. They're limited to what they can do. So then they have to determine who they can get help from, who to reach out to. is it foul play? I mean, it's crazy. It's something needs to be changed for sure.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And that's what's hard is that adults have rights. We can disappear if we want to. And it's so hard to prove if something is not right. And like the family members, like I knew something was wrong. You know, I could give you all these things and could tell you, no, she's not missing. Something happened to her. But then you have these laws that protect, but they don't really protect them, because in a missing persons case, those first few hours are the most important. I feel like she wasn't taken as seriously, like her case wasn't taken as seriously. I've thought maybe, and I don't know if this is just me feeling some type of way of, is it because I'm just her sister? My mom and dad are not there fighting for her, and maybe they're saying like, oh, well, if her parents don't care, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Things like that. I feel like I was naive and did the best that I could in the beginning. But yeah, you trust that they're going to help when you're crying out and saying, hey, this is going on. I know this happened. Please go look into this, or, you know. And the hard part too is that not every individual in law enforcement is like that. You know? So it's like there may be one person trying to do their job and they're doing their job correctly, but they get a bad rap for all the ones who didn't.
For sure. One rotten apple spoils the bunch, they say. So
Right.
they're looked upon as a whole. And it's sad because I bet you that person is coming in with the intentions of trying to turn that negativity of that district or department around, and it's just
Or
one
just do their
person.
job.
Yeah, as long as just
in her case, it was very simple. It's like, just do your job.
yeah.
I mean, there are some things that it's just like, why didn't you do that?
Yeah, very careless. Very careless.
Yeah.
Now, they're currently married, correct? And it's, how is it, you said Joe Daniel, or is it just Daniel, or how do you identify her partner?
His name is Joe Daniel, but his nickname is Daniel. Like, that's what everyone calls him.
Okay. Now, has Daniel been questioned by the SAPD, and what was the result of that?
They questioned him one time, and then he cooperated for the beginning. They asked if he would take a polygraph test. He initially said yes, and then somewhere a little after that, he got a lawyer, and then no more questioning, no more polygraph, no cooperation.
Did the SAPD do anything like at least a bare minimum of like looking at her last place where she was identified as last place seen? Did they do at least anything or if they had provided you any additional information about what they've done so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think initially CPS got involved immediately. If you know anything about CPS in Texas, it takes a lot for them to remove the children. For them to be urgently removed in the way that they did, there was big, huge red flags for them to be able to do that. They did go into the home and they searched it, and they did the whole spraying the lights. Or my only concern is that what came up into those reports, you know. And I don't want to say too much because there is reinvestigating going on now. But like, even questioning, like, how far did they go with the questioning? I'm not sure, you know.
And have they kept in contact with you in regards to any updates, or has it been pretty much a one-way street that you've been reaching out to them about status updates?
One way.
Yeah, I figured that seems like it's a constant ammo when it comes to law enforcement.
Well, especially with missing people.
Yes, I've noticed that.
I mean, I feel like 7 years says a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Has the FBI been involved in the investigation of her disappearance, Bianca's disappearance, or have you requested her them to be? Because I think that's a family request. I'm not sure what level the FBI gets involved, but I'm not sure if that's
No. Law enforcement has to request help. They can request help from the Rangers.
Okay, Texas Rangers,
Yeah, okay. FBI can get involved if it's on government property. They can automatically get involved. Yeah, no.
Really?
We can't. I've called FBI before. You can't just go and request and say, hey, can you help me? That's not how it works.
But have you looked into private investigating or other organizations, or are you able to share that or not at all?
Yes. So Texas EquiSearch is a nonprofit organization. They help big time in the state of Texas and nationwide. They helped us. They help. All these organizations can help as far as law enforcement, whatever information they give them. They can't have all the information. Public investigators the same. It all depends on what law enforcement is going to give them. What information will they give them for them to further, their own investigations.
I see. I think there's a thing that they don't want too many hands in the cookie jar, so say, or someone's tripping over each other's feet in regards to investigation. I'm not sure if that plays in this part, but I would think the more the merrier in regards to trying to connect the pieces.
I could see that because honestly, with Bianca's case, they had too many departments involved. Like within San Antonio Police Department, there were too many departments where they could never get the dots all together. So one department knew this, one department knew that. And so no one was ever able to see the big picture. So I could see how they would be more protective across the board with that.
Yeah. And you did mention that there hasn't been any recent updates or developments in Bianca's disappearance. So far, you've been up to date in regards to what has been done so far. Have you, as a family, been involved in raising money and doing things from your side of the investigation or side of the searching for her? Have you done GoFundMe or raising money for rewarding or?
Yeah, we have a GoFundMe and a Venmo. It's been shared a lot, but not really donated to a lot. I'm not sure why, which, I mean, it is what it is. We do, one of her other, Bianca's distance friend, started up a new page, and we've all been trying to get things going, like different social media, things just to get the word out, just to put more pressure on the police and just spreading the word. So if you go to her help page, it's Help Find Answers for Bianca Carrasco. And we've started, just trying to get the Twitter, the Facebook, the Instagram, all this stuff restarted. In the very beginning, we had a help page, but someone tried to hack into it, and I never been able to get back into it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Like, what happened?
It was really weird. Yeah.
Because you did mention that a couple times on your new Facebook page that...
Yeah, I actually had to get a new Facebook, my personal Facebook. Yeah.
Oh, wow. People are just downright cruel. Like, you see, what's the worth of doing something like that to a page that's trying to look for a missing person? Like, you have to be a lowest of the low in regards to doing something like that. I don't know but I was trying to figure out, like, why But I guess Facebook is just Facebook. So,
why? Because whoever was doing it doesn't want other people to know. That's why.
there has to be some reason, and that makes sense in regards to that.
As far as I know, the house and the vehicles were searched. Again, I'm not sure of the results of those.
Okay.
She left. Well, he said she left on foot.
On foot. Okay. Interesting. And I hate to say this because it seems like it's an ongoing saying that a lot of partners will identify that when someone goes missing, they left on foot with an unknown person to an unknown person. The person that was another man, or is that something you're able to share as a reason why his story in regards to why she would leave on foot? I guess what was the day that she went missing, and kind of what led up to him identifying that she had left on foot. Can you tell me a little bit on the day that was leading up to her disappearance?
So they were not talking, and then they were talking, they were arguing those months leading up to her disappearance. And she was talking to one person in particular. He found out the week before she went missing and actually called that guy. And so yeah, that's what he says, that she left with that guy. But if you know my sisters, I mean, she didn't have anything with her, and she wouldn't have left her car. It just doesn't make sense if you look at the case.
Definitely wouldn't have left walking.
Yeah. I mean,
back to the not being an outdoor person.
Yeah, there's so many quicker options of fleeing from something that was a verbally abusive relationship. And walking is probably like the last thing that's on the list, if there's no other way of means of transportation.
Especially at 10 o'clock at night.
And that as well, and being a woman at night on San Antonio streets would be like the last end result of other options are just obsolete. Yeah, and every case of a disappearance is always like nothing really adds up, because there's always the reason why it's not adding up is because there's not, the truth has not been identified. There's a lot of hidden lies, or lies that are being told about the person that's missing, Bianca, that's missing, to cover their own tracks. So of course it's never going to be, oh yeah, that makes sense. You never come to a conclusion where like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like that never happens in a disappearance of a person. Has she ever touched her banking account? What kind of leads you up to knowing that, the walking away statement doesn't add up? Like you said, it never adds up to why Bianca had disappeared.
Because there's nothing.
Yeah, there's no activity on her checking account. There's no activity on anything that she would have used by means of supporting and helping herself along the way of her walking away from her family, which I wholly 100% doubt that she did it on her accord. And with Bianca, just understanding Bianca, that's something she would have never done, in different circumstances.
Her job too, she wouldn't have just not showed up to her job either.
Exactly.
You can't just disappear like that now. And there's been nothing, absolutely nothing. Her phone was turned off that night, never pinged again. Never pinged at the time that he made a phone call. That's not.
Yeah, And what gets me more flustered is that when they're saying that there's not enough information or evidence to lead up to someone's indictment or conviction of her disappearance, which is like a total piece of baloney, because there's enough to put this, whoever this perpetrator is, in jail, indicted on her disappearance or whatever the case may be, on why Bianca is not here. It just floors me. Like, what other information do you need to make it solidified that she is missing and that this person was behind her disappearance? Like, what more does a SAPD need to do or need to see to move forward on that?
We need Bianca.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's what and I thank you for sharing this with me, because it's been an honor speaking with you, Jovanna and Rosa, about a very special person that is currently missing, Bianca Carrasco. Bianca was last seen at her home in San Antonio, Texas, and her husband's involvement in her disappearance is uncertain. Despite the searches and investigations, few clues have emerged, and no suspects or persons of interest have been identified. Bianca's loved ones are adamant that she would never leave her children willingly, making her disappearance highly concerning. Police are urging anyone with information about her whereabouts to contact them.
I really appreciate you covering it and helping us get the word out.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Rosa, Jovanna, I see you. Thank you so much for your time, and you have a good, restful evening.
You too.
You too.
Bianca Zanet Carrasco is described as a Hispanic woman with brown eyes and shoulder-length brown hair. She stands at 5 feet 1 inch and weighs 125 pounds. At the time of her disappearance, she was wearing a colorful pastel leggings, a blue jean jacket. Additionally, she has a surgical scar on her abdomen and the letter B tattooed on her hip. If you or anyone you know has any information about Bianca Zanet Carrasco, we urge you to contact the San Antonio Police Department at 210-207-7662. Your help could be instrumental in bringing closure to Bianca's loved ones and finding justice for her. We thank you for listening to Jovanna tell the story and the events leading up to Bianca's disappearance. Please share and help bring attention to cases like Bianca's, ensuring that they are never forgotten. If you enjoy our show, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, and be sure to come back for our discussion of true crime stories. Starting in June, I will be switching over the podcast to be a bi-weekly pod platform. Until then, this is Jasmine Castillo. We are voiceless no more. This podcast was created, produced, recorded, researched, and edited by Jasmine Castillo, current active member of Darkcast Network, Transto Task Force, Uncovered.com, and partners with Search and Support San Antonio.